Alright, so I did it. I finally finished. Well, at least I finished for the most part. I finished the Mega Factory build. I finished the build that I was trying to do when I built all of these circle factories together, and I built one giant satellite circle factory. Yes, it works, but how does it work? Well, not that efficiently, turns out. The circle factories work out well, but then when we get to that giant factory, the very end efficiency turns into like 1 or 2 parts per minute. But that's okay. I set out to make it, and you're gonna follow me as I explain it. Let's check it out. The giant circle factories fed by circle factories. So I finally did it, and as we continue to walk up to here, I just want you to see the scope of this place. The scope of how long it took me to build this giant, what do we call it? Satellite? Satellite it is. This satellite, we'll call it the Zebra satellite.
How original.
This Zebra satellite took me a couple hundred hours. Actually, let me check on Steam. Yep, 413 hours to be exact. This is my first Satisfactory playthrough, so everything we've done in this has been in this playthrough. So first one, there's still a lot of mistakes to be made. Seeing how much the Satisfactory community can create, this is something that is new to me, but good God, it was huge in scope. So this is the way I wanted it to be. We've got 2 trains going up either side, wrapping around, delivering their payload to the center. The center through here takes all the resources and delivers them to different factories throughout this vertical circular column. After they're empty, they come on down here and continue their way. If we can catch a train, yeah, it's on the way over here. We'll catch a train up and I'll show you what's at the top. Come on, train. So as we join the station, the train just skirts the top right here and then goes into a full-on circle where, depending on what resources it has, it drops it off into one of 6 different stations. So if we make our way to the top, I can truly show you what's going on. With the space elevator in the center, all the trains show up and they deliver the resources. We have a Caterium station, we have a copper station, steel station, iron station, aluminum station, and a checkmark station. The checkmark is for your SAM stuff and everything that doesn't fit in the other 5 categories. Caterium is mostly just Caterium wire, so that's being fed and dropped right into the resource center. Same thing on the other side. Both of these are Caterium. Over here in copper cables, copper sheets. Over in steel, we have steel pipes, steel beams, repeated, because that's the only thing you make from steel. Iron, I decided to keep screws, and I have a whole bunch of screws being made and iron plates, not to mention iron rods. Aluminum, straight up aluminum sheets, and aluminum casings. That's all you can really make. So this is in the center, and while this may look like a tube belonging to the Death Star, I assure you I know where everything is going in here. I'll bring up the math to show you. This is my plan. Okay, there's iron that goes down the center, 800 iron, 4,800 screws. All right, listen, this made sense when I first made it, and I actually did use it the entire way to figure out how to plan everything.
Really?
Despite being told over and over that there was a bunch of modules online that I could figure out how to use, I did it this way. But I kinda can explain. Everything kinda started in the top left, all the main resources and all the basic resources, and I just filled it out. And every time I found a resource, like the stators are a good example. I made 96 stators right there. 40 of them went up to... You know what? I don't need to explain. So this is the Death Star Circle Zebravator. It made sense. All right, so as we go down, it really does start from basic materials all the way to advanced materials. And my favorite thing to do, honestly, is to fall through out here. These are all of the machines, and each machine is making resources at a pretty good clip. But from top down, I mean, we have crystalline oscillators, basic frames, advanced iron plates, turning into reinforced iron plates, and each one of these is fed from the top as it's going down, and then it continues to feed a storage unit like this, which is fed from all the machines. These are all of my reinforced iron plates. They are all connected to a dimensional depot, and I say all, I mean every resource in the game. Every one.
Well, ooh-la-dee-da, Mr. Frenchman.
That's why I love this thing. Even if it goes slow at the very top end, I've got everything in my dimensional depot. Everything you can think of. It's been so much fun making this almost a full-on massive factory. After it goes into the dimensional depot, it is fed via conveyor belts through the rest of the factory. Now, I know what you're thinking. It must be annoying as hell to balance everything, and it was. However, I really enjoyed it, and I did a lot of physical balancing inside. So if you follow me down through the depths as we make our way back up through the Death Star, when I say physical balancing, I mean things like this. I used a lot of physical splitters, and when I say physical splitters, I mean I'm just physically splitting the conveyor belt mass evenly. So let's say we have 120 modular frames coming through here. It goes to this splitter, that splits 60 this way and 60 this way. And that means when we go here, this splitter we'll split 20 this way, 20 this way, and 20 this way, right? Because we're splitting it 3 times. That means I only needed 20 resources over here, which is perfect for me because then over here I have them all feed to a condenser where we take the 60 from the original, the 20 split the second time, and the 20 split the third time and bring it back together. So now we have 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So then we'll take those other 100 resources, send it down, and bring it to other production. And I actually really liked a lot of those little math equations throughout this. And it makes my center point look cool. But I'm sure you're done checking this out. I do want to show you what feeds this entire beast, because if everything's coming from the railroad, it's got to be coming from somewhere, right? So if you'd like to check out my other videos, one is on copper, steel, and iron, and the other one is on aluminum. The aluminum one really blows my mind, and we'll go through it really quickly, but not as in-depth as those videos. So here we go. This is my living quarters. The living quarters is always where you put your hub, make sure you have your Austin shop, and make sure you have a way to shoot yourself out of here so you can always get back. So first thing we do, I'm going to show you where we started. Where I started is the basic factory. Factory that I think everyone does. You start off with a square factory and do 2 little walls. This is my first playthrough every way. So we'll call it the Shame Factory. We're going to go over to the Shame Factory in order to see how far we've come. That was the wrong tube. All right, this is a way to view Circle City. So the Circle World, there's the iron factory, copper's there. That's where we make concrete. This is the power factory. There's flying past aluminum. Over here is the Christmas tree factory. Yeah. Right there is steel, and then over there is Caterium. And over here, the original OG factory. Wide open and flat. It looks like an Amazon factory. It's terrible. It's not even used anymore. It's just on the power grid. Nothing is being produced here. Just sits. Doing nothing. All right, originally this was the place I thought was going to be a nice wide open area in the desert. I could keep building the factory and over, but then as I got bigger and bigger, I also realized I didn't want everything together because it starts to lag your computer. Got so many factory things going at the same time, it just became ridiculous. So where I started out was this level. Now we don't talk about this on stream. We don't tell people about this, not unless someone specifically asks, but it is still here. And I wanted to bring you to the place it all started. Otherwise you can't see where we get. So first things first, the very first factory we made was copper. Copper and power, because we needed something to actually function. So along with this, we can do a quick theory of why I built it like this. Satisfactory is confusing.
He's got a point.
At least it was to me when I first started. It's still confusing and I have 415 hours in it. The confusing part was so many resources overlap. You know, you do one thing in copper and one thing in iron, then pretty soon you have to do copper and iron combined. It just got hard for my brain to separate, so I made each factory separate. And I know you could separate this in so many other ways, and in fact if I did it again, I would do it completely different. But copper it is. All the copper materials are being made here, off of a copper mine. I have 2 refineries, completely overclocked, sending copper here 24/7. Same thing with every refinery. I wanted to make sure they were all overclocked, all doing 1 resource per refinery. So that's 1 maxed out. That's 1 maxed out. Next thing I did was iron. So iron's right next door because they were close enough together where I could get the resources pretty close and just ship it here. And my original thought process was I was going to have a circle city, all circles going down here. That changed. There's just too much stuff in the same place. It's causing too much lag. The iron factory is still one of my favorites too. Looks like Neo's gonna jump out of here. Some of them are overclocked just to make sure that they produce at the right speed, but same deal. 3 different pieces of iron being made from 3 different refineries, all overclocked, all going as fast as they can. Now, after I built all these factories, then we got to the point where we needed locomotion. Now, I didn't really know how to fit locomotion in there, and I thought it would be much smaller. So this is where it ended up, a little squished, but I still like the way it works. Iron's on top, copper down below. I would love to one day redo this whole thing so that it's all circular. I mean, I'm obsessed with circles, so if we get a circle train to somehow pick it up. That's why I did the circle depot. I mean, I guess we don't need circle pickup spots, but circle drop-off spot. So power is a unique building because, to be honest, the only thing I could think of, the 2 things you would want for power, is either Duracell, the copper chop, or the Energizer Bunny. And even though the Energizer Bunny colors are much easier to do in Satisfactory, I thought the Duracell would look good. That little green bar on the side, I don't know if you knew that Duracell battery, but that Duracell battery is one you could charge with your finger. Just check the charge. You could bust your finger every time you wanted to do that. I digress, and I'm old. So let's jump into the powered Duracell battery and see actually what it provides. So we have, again, a circular factory fully maxed out, and at the bottom, we have an alien power augmenter.
Just to help make it look pretty.
But we had to sandwich a whole bunch of fuel generators in here. I could have actually put a few more, but it wouldn't have looked so even. So everything is spaced out really nice and evenly all the way across. Don't pay attention to the power lines. Power lines are the only thing I don't think look nice. So we have essentially 4 different systems working on the same thing. 4 refineries pumping as much water as they can, and I want the water up above because the water pressure stays constant as long as it's delivering down below. If I wanted to pump the water up, it just makes it harder. So everything here feeds these right out here. So now that you know where most of the power comes from, I can show you one of my favorite things. Also one of my most mind-bending builds because, to be honest, I didn't know what I was getting into when we got into aluminum. So anyone who's played this game knows that aluminum is a headache. So down below, we have the refinery, which helps make concrete, and this concrete is mostly used to get rid of the water. That's right. We're getting rid of some of the water, or the excess water, in order to continue to make aluminum. So follow me into breaking my face. Follow me into the top of the aluminum factory so you can see what it looks like. The factory is much more explained in the other videos, but really, it's just a huge amount of bauxite, which makes aluminum, and it looks like the inner workings of a watch face or something. I used to be a goldsmith for 15 years, and this is what the inside of a watch looks like, and how complicated it feels sometimes. When I set to make this, I had no idea it was going to look like this in the end, but I'm proud of it, and it hurts my brain to even really think of, and I'm the one that did it. Without explanation, on to the next. Satisfactory really did have a love-hate relationship for me, and I think I capped out with it right before Christmas, and then Fix-It Christmas came out. Fixmas. If you haven't checked out Fixmas, it's just another wonderful obsession that Satisfactory offers you during Christmas time. But you know what we had to do? Build a circle factory. So we got the Fixmas factory built, and it's just circular Christmas trees on circular Christmas trees. Those ones up top didn't even need to be there, but it really signifies what it's about, you know? Christmas trees. There's even a few snowmen in there. I got them working overtime. So red and green Christmas trees, fix it again. I tried to make a bit of a snowflake in the middle here. So we have a wonderful Fixmas snowflake. And off the side here is one little Christmas ornament that I needed because you needed a couple extra things. But that is hiding our steel factory. All of this is being fed by the trains. Since steel is made with coal, I just needed 2 resources running for steel instead of 1. So it's basically the same thing as iron. Iron has a refinery running fully maxed out with fully overclocked. And it just has iron, but this has iron and coal to make steel. Steel factory sends everything over here. This is the train station. Train station picks it up, brings it all the way over, and drops it off at our giant zebra dome. Oh no. I fell and died? Let's go back to the zebra dome. Like that. So the giant zebra satellite, each section takes care of a different resource. So this is one section. And I started to think of it like different petals of a flower. So that's one section, that's another section. That's why I put those little breaks in it so you could actually see the different sections. One section's where they enter, one section is where they leave. And the other 6 are all resource sections. And yes, it did take me forever. I did a little bit of blueprinting. The colors and some of the lights are all blueprinted. Then down here was always freeform. All the resources that made the double helix and all the angles I had to place because I couldn't figure out how to get the right angle for a circle that wide and tilted at the right angle. Next year, we're dealing with blueprints. We're going to make our life easier. And might have to check out the trains. I'd really love to redo my whole train system. That's it for now. Stop on back to see some of the latest builds, and we'll have other content coming for you soon. Thank you for showing up. Please like and subscribe if you want to come back and see more. I'll have more coming for you. Thank you for being here.